Join the conversation, 35270, provided by the Eye Consultants of North Dakota. Call me, 237-5948. That is the Laney's studio line. I'm Tyler Exodus. I'm sitting in the Gutterson studio. That is KFGO. I appreciate you keeping it locked in here. In just a little bit, we're going to be talking about some barbecue sauces and rubs, amongst other things. If you have any questions about what you want to throw on those meats, I tell you what, you can send those in. Spencer Ward, our meat dude that's usually joining us, right about now, he's on vacation. Well-deserved, well-earned, so he is going to be out this week. But Allsager Meats out in Audubon, Minnesota. Still encourage you to stop on by for their, quite frankly, great products, locally raised beef. It's under new ownership. Just the other week, we had Josh Allsager on, the new owner out there, talking about the process of raising all the way to getting it to wherever you call home. Yeah, you could go to Audubon, but you could also make a request, and reasonable enough to where they'll bring it right to your doorstep. In fact, we had somebody text in at that time wondering if Alexandria would be one of the locations. Miss that conversation wherever you get your podcasts, where you can find that. That's KFGO.com. On the podcast page, we're thinking Spotify, iTunes, Audible, all of it coming your way. And the price is right. It's free. Speaking of Audibles, that's going to be coming up in just a little bit of time here. A couple of other things that we're going to get into aside from the usual things that we do on a Thursday is talking about just a couple of the changes. Picking up where we left off, I guess is how I should put it, because we had a great conversation going right at the end of yesterday's show based on just my gut feeling. And I was surprised at how many messages I got in from you feeling the same way when it comes to the White House and just kind of seemingly throwing hands up. And the best they're doing as well is you got to get out and vote in November, which, sure, but you got to have some enthusiasm and a reason to vote for. So I'm going to pick up where we left off in a little bit because of just what I was getting in. I didn't get a chance to address all of them because there's a couple of things that I saw overnight that lends itself to the conversation. One, showing that people don't want Joe Biden, people don't want Donald Trump, overwhelmingly. So if that's the case, who would you prefer controlling Congress and then being in the White House? That's my question for you, because it seems as though, and this I don't believe is the first time this has happened. I think in the last election cycle, there was some of that as well, but you had to pick, who you figured was the better, more suited individual, or at least throw out who you did not want in there. And that was something that resonated a lot in 2016. So we're going to pick up that conversation a little bit because what I'd seen last night, again in polling, and you can take that for what it's worth, that people overwhelmingly don't want either of them. Both at about 60% of Americans don't want Joe Biden and they don't want Donald Trump to run again in 2024. I get it. It's 2 years away. We got a big midterm coming up before that, but I'm curious because those elections are already rolling on. There's a reason why you've got the governor in California placing ads in Florida, for example. I mean, this campaign's running, and why the governor in Florida is out there raising some money for a potential White House bid. So game's already started. We'll get caught up with that in a little bit, but you can lend your opinion at 35270. In fact, people are already. Amy Klobuchar is one that continuously comes up, and I respect it. I think she is great on the national stage. I thought she had a good showing in the last election cycle when it comes to the presidency. I'm wondering if that's because of just our proximity, how much traction there is out there. Because you think about somebody that's an Amy Klobuchar, a Pete Buttigieg, a John Kasich, in that centrist fold here, they don't get the traction nationally on some of the party side. And I think there's a whole ball game that we got to talk about when it comes to that, and something that we've talked about at length. Closed primaries being one of them. Getting activists in and actually really pursuing this, I think, skews some of that so we don't end up with an Amy Klobuchar. But they also sent in Kent Conrad as well, former North Dakota U.S. Senator. We'll pick up that conversation a little bit. I'm going to step away a little early here, so when we come back, Zach Willis, he's with Big Deck Barbecue. You've had them on these airwaves before. We're going to get caught up with them. I know they got new product. They've got a new lineup as well. So instead of just talking about your cuts and how you're going to put those on the grill, let's talk about what goes on, your ribs, your burgers, your steaks, with some of this barbecue and mustard coming up. I'm Tyler Axis. It's Thursday afternoon, and Afternoons Live just getting started here on KFGO. Don't go anywhere. Typically at this time, we would be joined by Spencer Wirt, the Meat Dude, answering all your meat-related questions. This segment brought to you by Alles Auger Meats, formerly known as Audubon Meats in Audubon, Minnesota. You can find them right off of Highway 10. You can't miss the sign if you're heading on out to Detroit Lakes. I encourage you to stop by. Locally raised beef, new ownership, barbecue ribs, fresh cut steaks, and all the ground hamburger, and it's all locally raised. So instead of just talking about meats themselves, I want to talk about something that you should be putting on your meats. Big Deck Barbecue, one of those locally made Fargo, North Dakota products. You might have heard them on the show, I would say about 7 months ago. Zach Willis, one of the founders out there joining us right now, former NSU Bison. Zach, how you doing, man?
Good, Tyler. Thanks for having me.
I appreciate you taking some time. I follow you guys, and in fact, buy your products. So one of the things I've just been impressed with, it seems the groundswell of people that are finally discovering you or that have, and once they find you, they're not going anywhere. So congratulations. It seems like this business, this product is certainly taken off over the course of the last few years.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that a lot. It's been kind of crazy of the organic way we've built connections with people and even, social media following. And now it's darn near doubled since we've been in more grocery stores across the state. So, the more people we can get to try it, it usually leads to more people loving it.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Well, and that's counting me in, and that's how it happened for me. Over at the Pride of Dakota, the Mindak Market, the last time I had an opportunity to visit with you was where I discovered you. And, I haven't turned back since. I got the barbecue sauce and I got both mustards for it from you. And,
sure.
So that's the go-to for me. But for those that might have missed that conversation and say, okay, well, I'm curious, explain how you started Big Deck Barbecue Company.
Yeah. So every recipe, besides one, were all my dad's recipes. Kind of just been tooling around making stuff at home for 10, 12 years. Just because he thought his stuff tasted better than the stuff you could buy at the store. So we started that out, and then, we were bored around May 2020, the thick of COVID, and we're like, you know what? No better time than a worldwide pandemic to start a business. So we got it fired up, and we've just been rolling with it ever since then.
Well, it's been rolling into stores more and more. And in fact, I'm getting questions in at 35270 already about where they could purchase. This person in particular, Tyler, can you ask Zach, do they sell in Grand Forks at all?
Yes, I think, or we are at Home of Economy up there, and then just got brought into Hugo's up there, I believe, as well.
Well, and that's, the expansion of what the places that are carrying you. I mean, how does that work as a small business owner as yourself with that's not so small of a business anymore? Do you approach these grocery stores, these man malls, and say, look, we got a product, we think you'd enjoy it? Walk me through that process.
So a lot of this started right away with more boutique mom and pop shops, and I handled all of that, reaching out, and a lot of it was people reaching out to us. Thankfully, like you mentioned, we had a pretty good following. So if somebody in Velva wanted it, they'd reach out to a gift shop there or whatever, and they'd reach out to us. We'd get them the product. But thankfully, actually took a lot of weight off of our shoulders. Now we're in around 55 stores, I believe. We're working with Bishop Distributing here in town. So I give them the product, and they handle all of that. It's getting it approved at different grocery stores from the buyers and then putting in orders. So that just took that all off my hands.
Nice. Work smarter, not harder, right? Is kind of how this goes.
Right.
Zach, and I see that the lineup has expanded since last time. I'm a peanut butter fanatic, and
sure.
I've got the OG, and then, like I said, the dill pickle and the regular Dakota mustard. Tell me about this peanut butter and jealous barbecue sauce I'm looking at here.
That is just, people crinkle their nose when we do tastings and stuff, or if they see it on the shelf, but that is the one thing we cannot keep in stock. It is always sold out. It was born, I don't know how my dad came up with the idea to add peanut butter to his barbecue sauce. It's just like you said, he's a peanut butter fanatic, and we'll throw this in there, and it works, man. I don't know why, but it works.
Well, I growing older in my days here, I've realized how peanut butter is so versatile beyond my wildest dreams. I mean, you can go to restaurants and get to, the peanut butter burger now. Yeah, you've gone out to the pizza place out in Detroit Lakes. You probably had the pizza that had peanut butter on that, and it all works. I don't know the
Yep.
science by it, but it works. And now to find out it works in a barbecue sauce, I'm intrigued. I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it was actually born from like Asian cuisine. My dad loves Indian food. He loves Vietnamese and Thai food, and they use a lot of peanut in their cuisine too. So just kind of seeing that it works in a savory fashion. But if you wanted to go have a PB&J before dinner, or before bed,
Yeah.
it works both ways.
I've been very guilty of that many nights, actually. Zach Gillis, our guest at Big Deck Barbecue. More love for you in the text club. Tyler, the Big Deck Barbecue Dakota mustard is a staple at our house. And that, the mustard, especially that one. The dill pickle, I mean, it works, obviously, and you're right. If you want to throw that on a cheeseburger, great. And same with this mustard. But is it more of a vinegar base? Explain, because there's something about it that brings me back to a trip that I was down in Tennessee. I was in Nashville, and they had kind of a little mustard sauce that would be on top of the traditional barbecue. And that's the reason why I come to your guys' products. I double up. I do the barbecue, and then I throw a little bit of the mustard on it just to give a little bit of a different accent. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, so like I said, my dad's been a foodie for all this time, and at this kind of point in our life, we couldn't find something that we thought represented that region. So you talk about Tennessee, you talk about the Carolinas, you talk about West Georgia. They don't use ketchup in their barbecue. They don't like it. They don't like that sweetness in it. So they like the vinegar base. The Dakota mustard, man, is by far my favorite thing that we make. It's tangy. It's got a little smokiness to it. It's sweet. It's phenomenal. But yeah, so it's kind of funny that you mentioned it. It was born out of my dad just kind of tooling around with stuff online and then deciding that, he needed to make his own. So we have that, the dill pickle mustard. I've told this story a bunch of times, but I literally woke up in a fever dream one time. I'm like, how do we not have something with pickles in it yet? So we made that. And then we actually kind of tapped into that again with our Red River Mob Staff. So it's great with a fattier cut of meat if you're doing a pulled pork, if you're doing I love pork belly. I'll do it with that, let it marinate in ribs. No ketchup. It's all hot sauce, vinegar, brown sugar, all that good stuff. So more authentic to what the Southerners call barbecue.
Got more people texting in, even saying, hey, Zach and Big Deck Barbecue need Nashville hot, comes in with a lot of exclamation points. So you got people that are trying to tell you what you need out there. But one thing that, like I said, the product line that you have has grown so much since I think it was getting ready for the holidays. We're telling people get out to the Mindac, get some Big Deck Barbecue for the old man. But the rubs, the seasonings you have, I don't recall that being a product back then. If it was, I apologize, I missed it. But I'm looking at 4 different seasonings and rubs you got here.
Yeah, so those had kind of been in the works for a while. They might have been out at that point. It all kind of blends together at this point. But, so we have our taco seasoning, which is our Fargo-Moorhead, a Badlands rub, which is more of like that all-purpose chicken, pork, beef rub with the brown sugar and all those good flavors. Then we have our Bayou Bison, our take on a Cajun seasoning. That's fantastic. We have people using a crab boil, seafood, salmon. That is probably my favorite seasoning that we have. And then the one everybody loves is Deck Dirt. It's activated charcoal, so it's jet black. It's organic from coconuts, so it's safe to eat. And then it's salt, pepper, onion, and garlic. And it is just a phenomenal flavor to use on a big cut of beef if you're doing a brisket or a nice big ribeye. That's what we did for the 4th of July, and there's just nothing better to present this take with than Deck Dirt.
So I'm glad you talked about the 4th of July, because I follow you guys on Twitter. And I saw somebody said that you had the Deck Dirt, and I saw the rub on it. I'm not going to lie. The first time I saw it, I'm like, boy, this looks really charred. And then I realized it was because of the seasoning that you had put on it. So the first time you tried it was like, ooh, okay. Or you probably knew what you were doing. For me, I would have been like, oh, I hope this turns out. And certainly I'm sure it would. But
yeah, and the biggest thing, it all goes back to my dad, but it's he's a purist when it comes to beef. So no other flavors, and even getting him to put garlic and onion on it is a stretch. But people love those flavors. It's great for beef. If you want to let the meat talk, the guys you're talking up from Audubon. Shout out to Audubon, Highway 10. But you got to let the meat talk when you're doing something that expensive now.
My man. Zach, I appreciate you checking in. I'm out of time. We'll do it again soon, man. It's been fun, all right?
Cool. Thanks, Tyler.
Yeah.
Appreciate you having me on.
Yeah, you take care. Zach Willis, Big Deck Barbecue. You know what? If you want to go check out more of their lineup, bigdeckbarbecue.com is where you can check this out. And you just heard salt, pepper, garlic in that last one. Oh, and onion. So there, the tribute to little Spencer Worth, the meat dude. He'll be back next week. That segment brought to you by Audubon Meats, now known as All Sauger Meats, but you can still find them in Audubon, Minnesota, right off Highway 10. So you can go out there, you can buy your beef that's all locally raised, and then you can find the Big Deck Barbecue, the mustard, the rubs, and lather that bad boy up, that slab of ribs, whatever it might be. Get on out there and send them some love. And tell them KFGO sent you on Afternoons Live here. KFGO news on the way. No Rusty Halverson today. He's up watching Red Hawks, but I'll come back to you with some more right after this.
KFGO News, mostly cloudy, 79 degrees. I'm Paul Jurgens. A lawsuit has been filed on behalf of Red River Women's Clinic in Fargo that seeks to block enforcement of a North Dakota law that will prohibit nearly all abortions. The 19-page lawsuit was filed in State District Court in Bismarck. Attorney General Drew Wrigley and Cass County State's Attorney Birch Burdick are co-defendants. The lawsuit claims that North Dakota's abortion ban is unconstitutional under the state constitution. The lawsuit says the abortion ban will have a devastating impact on the health, well-being, and economic prospects of women in North Dakota. Burdick says his position in responding to the suit will be developed in the coming days and weeks. Effective July 28th, abortions will be outlawed in North Dakota. The ban includes exemptions for rape, incest, or preserving the life of the mother. A White Earth tribal judge has dismissed charges against 3 people who protested the Enbridge 3 pipeline in northern Minnesota last year. They were charged with criminal trespassing at an 8-day ceremonial camp at Firelight Camp. It is on land near where Enbridge Energy built the pipeline. White Earth Court Judge David DeGroat says the protesters' actions were lawful exercises of protected sovereign rights reserved in an 1855 treaty. Some Minnesota lawmakers, in particular Republicans, appeared to be caught off guard when a new law took effect allowing those 21 and over to buy edibles and beverages with a limited amount of THC, the active ingredient in marijuana. Governor Tim Walz.
We knew it was there. We knew what it was. I think it's a step forward, but I don't think it's the ultimate step. We need to move forward towards the full legalization.
Senate Republicans have strongly opposed legalizing recreational marijuana. 79, this is KFGO News. Mostly cloudy at 79. This is KFGO News. A Bemidji man who escaped from the Becker County Courthouse in Detroit Lakes yesterday afternoon after he was sentenced to prison was captured late last night. 25-year-old Alexander Robert ran out of the courthouse from a second-floor courtroom. He'd just been sentenced to over a year and a half in prison for a previous escape charge. Several law enforcement agencies began an immediate search for Robert, who was eventually arrested in Detroit Lakes around 10:30. An inmate who walked away from the minimum security Missouri River Correctional Center near Bismarck is back in custody. 35-year-old David Korn was located and arrested by the Aberdeen, South Dakota Police Department. He left the prison on Tuesday. Investigators say he was picked up by a woman who will face charges. Korn is serving time for drugs, fleeing a peace officer, and vehicle theft. A former teacher at a central Minnesota school is facing an assault charge for throwing a floor hockey stick at a child during a gym class earlier this year. The child lost a tooth. 62-year-old Kimberly Neubauer has been charged with third-degree assault. According to a criminal complaint, police were alerted by the Minnesota Department of Education that an investigation was underway. The 8-year-old boy was a second-grade student. Surveillance video was released to police, which showed the boy toss a hockey stick into a pile with other sticks. And Neubauer is then seen picking the stick up and throwing it toward the child, hitting him in the face. KFGO Weather Center forecast, we expect perhaps some showers, thunderstorms later on this afternoon. Just isolated activity, though. Most of that has been in northeastern and eastern South Dakota. Some showers, scattered showers around central North Dakota, and some development southeast of Fargo-Moorhead. Thunder shower along I-94 as you head southeast. Near 83 this afternoon, 62 overnight. Isolated evening showers, thunderstorms, less humidity, partly sunny. Tomorrow's high 84. 79, Paul Jurgens, News Radio, KFGO.
We are just 24 hours short of an entire week where in Minnesota, perfectly legal to go out there and buy some edibles with THC in it. I'm going to ask you, you can answer at 35270. You can stay anonymous. Have you gone over there and bought some? Or if you're a Minnesota resident, I guess is the more appropriate legal way to ask, have you bought some? North Dakota, be careful. But here's something I saw that made me chuckle, because if you remember, well, in fact, we had a conversation with one of the lawyers that helped get this passed. Again, wherever you get your podcast, you can just find the Afternoons Live page. Not every Republican lawmaker, and probably not every Democratic lawmaker, but the Republicans were saying, I didn't know this was in there. There are dispensaries in Minnesota that are putting faces of lawmakers who didn't realize they were legalizing edibles right on their packages. Jim Abler, for example, is smiling on this package of some gummies. From where? I'm not exactly sure, but that is ruthless. I enjoy that. 35270. I'll wait for your response. In the meantime, CBS National News. What's already waiting for me in here was something I threw out before we were joined by Zach. But the fact that 60%, or let me check that, 59% of voters do not want Joe Biden to run for re-election. 61% of voters do not want Donald Trump to run for re-election. So if you pair those two, Joe Biden would win by a narrow margin. But if you don't want either of those candidates in 2 years, then who? Got some responses at 35270. I'll come back to that right after some national news headlines. I'm Tyler Axis, and you are listening to Afternoons Live on KFGO.
We knew it was there. We knew what it was. I think it's a step forward, but I don't think it's the ultimate step. We need to move forward towards the full legalization. We knew it was there. We knew what it was. I think it's a step forward, but I don't think it's the ultimate step. We need to move forward towards the full legalization.
As some of the other conferences out there. If you're on the Republican side, which I know a majority of you listening to me are, you've got Trump as the front runner within your wants, just not the overwhelmingly majority of Americans don't want that. Then you've got Ron DeSantis nipping at his heels. I think Kristi Noem, as far as ranks go, of what people would want within the Republican Party, is polling at, I think, like 2%. She's got a long road ahead if, in fact, she's going to get there. Tyler, you're right. I don't want either one. If a green independent party ever stood a chance, this is it. Can we get Common Sense Heidi to run? First one, no to both. I don't believe Heidi's running for anything ever again. But as far as these third parties go, I get people are looking somebody that's not just part of the establishment, right? But that's not who controls how the process rolls out. I mean, you got state parties controlling your legislative districts or your congressional districts, and they gerrymander it. And they gerrymander it in such a way that it basically picks which party is going to win a district without even having a candidate on. That needs to be removed. That needs to be changed. We're a long ways from that. But because of that, and when you have percentages that go into what you need to even get on a ballot in states, like, say, North Dakota, you have to have X percent of the last vote to even qualify to be on the ballot as, say, a libertarian, which for quite some time, not very long ago, they did qualify. They've since, do I just say disappeared? So if there ever was a time, I know that we have that wishful thinking that, hey, maybe some saving grace will come in, and it would come from, just the beers and brats party. God, who doesn't want that, right? We can all agree on how good those are. But the thing is, the way things are set up, it won't work. We're stuck with this for now. Republicans, Democrats. 35270. Tyler, I have to hope the crazy governors of Florida and South Dakota aren't among the choices. They are coming in. Tyler, for president, maybe Candace Owens, Ben Crenshaw, Ted Cruz. What do you think? I think absolutely not. We don't need, especially a Candace Owens. And Ted Cruz certainly wants to spend more time fretting about Muppets on television than it seems anything. He's always fighting with the Cookie Monster and all this. I just don't understand why, of everything that is a legitimate concern, those are where we're sending folks is from a U.S. senator. Now, as far as Republicans go, I mean, if we're talking about that middle of the road, who would you want? John Kasich continues to come in. John Kasich is somebody I could actually look at and say, okay, tell me more. It's somebody that should have a national profile, did for a little glimmer there, but then certainly seems to have faded away as well because it just isn't being rewarded within the party structure. There's a reason why the percentage is so high on the two names that ran in the last election of people not wanting. There is a majority of people that think that way for a variety of things. Unfortunately, you just don't get those options when it comes time at the polls, when it comes November, because those type of candidates have already been weeded out. More messages coming in. I'm going to get you a weather update from Too Tall Tom Szymanski. He'll get you the latest weather for the rest of the weekend. It's something that's going to be pretty decent on, so I hope you can get out and enjoy it. At the Red River Valley Fair, I know that It Takes Two. JJ Gordon will be there. I'm going to be there on Monday and Tuesday of next week. Tomorrow I'm in Detroit Lake, so I'll tell you more about that in the meantime here. Some more messages coming in. I got some new news as well that I'll share with you about a little wild hockey and more coming up right here on KFGO. Stick around. I did miss that one. I know that she was on some of the Sunday Talkers, but thanks for the suggestion. I'll see if, in fact, I can find and track that down. One thing that's been making the rounds here that combines both local sports, but also the ongoing invasion war in Ukraine has to do with the Minnesota Wild. And you got Kaprizov, who obviously from Russia, 25 years old. In Russia, men must serve in the military for 1 year between the ages of 18 and 27. So there's allegations out there, and of course there's denials as well, that Kaprizov, in fact, went and bought a fraudulent military ID 5 years ago. That would have been required to fulfill his military obligations. So that's one allegation. But the other factor that just passed a week ago today, or a week ago yesterday, was the exemption that he did have expired June 30th. So here you have, a NHL hockey player, one of us here now in the upper Midwest in the Minnesota Wild. I think reports are that he is in fact still in Russia right now. And of course, with this ongoing war, it sounds as though that there's going to perhaps be an obligation for him to go into Ukraine or at least serve in the military capacity in some shape or form. Not the only one in the NHL that is impacted. I think there's a Philadelphia Flyer as well that, in fact, was arrested and taken to the military naval camp for evading mandatory military service. And, of course, he was also accused of purchasing the fake military ID from a high-ranking military officer who allegedly helped the other athletes in that same team obtain the same cards, which is where the whole Kaprizov accusation comes in, because they were on the same team. Could you imagine? Because I think there's one common thread that seems to have been from people that are perhaps abroad from Russia watching this war develop, because you're not in that echo chamber that is the Russian television, the Russian media, to where they're only telling you as a resident what they want to tell you, that you don't get that free access to all the information to really understand what is going on. Now, being abroad, playing hockey, for example, in Minnesota for the Wild, watching this, hearing the real information and not the whole propaganda that's coming from Vladimir Putin, and now being forced because you had to go back home and potentially serving in that for at least 1 year. And make no mistake, ladies and gentlemen, that this war that some did, and we had those experts on, thinking that this would be a quick Moscow, in fact, will go and they will take over, because that's what our intelligence said, that it wouldn't take more than a month for them. I think, 10 days to go and storm the capital of Ukraine and then have control. That has not happened. It doesn't look like it's close to being happened. So the very real possibility that within this next year, this war is still ongoing and perhaps even worse would not be surprising to me whatsoever. But I don't know. Would you have any recourse here as far as do you flee? Is this what Kaprizov would have to do? Jump on a plane and get out of there? Because I imagine that they're not going to just say, okay, well, we get you have some disagreements here, or that you think that you've in fact served before. So sure, we'll let you go on and let bygones be bygones. I can't imagine that's the approach that Putin would want when they're going through personnel and equipment more rapidly than I think they ever thought was possible over there. That's just one of those items that are going to want to perhaps be following along. It kind of mixes our world of sports and that war in Ukraine. Plus, you did have WNBA star Brittany Griner, in fact, admitting today or pleading guilty to the possession and, I don't know if it was smuggling or what, but potentially 10 years. 35270, more messages coming in. This is just an interesting story that we'll get back into later if there is any developments here. But I had said, who would you want if it's not going to be the two top runners right now running in 2024? Messages come in. A lot of John Kasich does come in. That does not surprise me. Tyler, I'd vote for Tulsi Gabbard, Rand Paul, Dave Smith. I'm unfamiliar with Dave Smith. And probably Klobuchar. Maybe DeSantis. He has been good on one issue, and that is a freedom and liberty. Other than that, he is all right at best. The South Dakota gal is brutal. That's Governor Kristi Noem. And I think I heard you call Pete Tomato. That made me laugh pretty hard, so thanks for that. I won't vote Trump or Biden. Both are going down as the worst leaders I've ever witnessed. I think Pete is at least reasonable. Might not agree with it with his worldview, but here's one thing that I appreciate about him. He'll go and he'll sit on people's shows that might not agree with him and have that conversation. And I think that actually goes a long way. Something that hasn't always been the case. And I think he, presents in a pretty, down-to-earth fashion. As far as the whole Tulsi Gabbard, I don't know what. She was a congressman, I think, from Hawaii. Now, I think just kind of running around some of those circles on the Fox News network, peddling. I don't understand what Tulsi's background is as far as what she really believes in. And if you got a better understanding, by all means, I'd love to hear from you. And I'm going to have to look up this Dave Smith because I'm unfamiliar. But the fact that you had Klobuchar into there is intriguing to me. Because clearly with, I think, some of the other names he threw out there, aside from not being happy with Governor Noem down and Kristi Noem in South Dakota, that seems to be an outlier. So, to me, again, I go back to, for those that want to find somebody that isn't just on the fringe, Klobuchar keeps coming up in these conversations. Tyler, I would enjoy John Kasich and Liz Cheney. Liz Cheney, I don't know what her political future has. I'm sure she has one. It's probably not going to be in the U.S. Congress after this January 6th hearing, and how she's been outspoken on the former president, Donald Trump. Her own caucus in the House kicked her off out of leadership because of what she was saying that she's just too much distraction. So I don't know that she'll be in Congress. Will she try to run on a national stage for president, vice president? Perhaps. I have no doubt that she will be aspiring for something. I just don't know what. So see her name coming on. I appreciate that as well. 237-5948. Excuse me. That's the Laney Studio line. Of course, a lot of messages in at 35270. 3 o'clock hour, we'll be visiting with Tanner Cherney, Devil's Eye Tourism. He'll let you know about how the fish are going and biting on up there. More messages in on this topic. We'll touch on that also. I Love the 90s in Moorhead, I believe, tonight. We'll see if we got some tickets to get from us to you. And Audibles, brought to you by Downs Car Wash. Got a lot more in store for you on a Thursday afternoon. Thanks for keeping it locked in at 790 AM, 94.1 and 104.7 FM, KFGO. But there is breaking news in Minneapolis. Derek Chauvin sentenced to 20 and a half years in prison for violating George Floyd's civil rights. So I know that was something that we're waiting to see what the sentencing was. And again, Derek Chauvin sentenced to 20 and a half years in prison for violating George Floyd's civil rights. I'll have to look to see if, in fact, that's within the scope. Did they go above and beyond? I think prosecution wanted 25. Don't quote me on that. I will try to look that up when we get you caught up with Paul Driggins of that KFGO News Center. This song, When Doves Cry, hit number one on this date in 1984. Other things that happened on this date, Lethal Weapon 2 hit theaters. And this is something that revolutionized how you and I consume a lot of music and, quite frankly, how we do radio for all of you. MP3 format was released 1994. Feels like a lifetime ago, but 1994 revolutionized how we all consume a lot of media. So that was a couple of things that happened on this date. A couple other fun items I wanted to get into, but I do want to say one more time the breaking news out of the Twin Cities. Derek Chauvin is sentenced to 20 and a half years in prison for violating George Floyd's civil rights. We'll learn more about that. In the meantime, here's Paul Driggins of that KFGO News Center.
KFGO News, Fargo-Moorhead, mostly cloudy. It is 79 degrees. And again, Derek Chauvin has been given another 21 years or so, 20 and a half years for violating George Floyd's civil rights. The sentencing moments ago in federal court in St. Paul. That essentially extends his prison time. Federal prosecutors were seeking 25 years. Chauvin's attorney was seeking 20 years. He received a 22-and-a-half-year sentence on the state conviction for murder and manslaughter. The clinic that performs abortions in North Dakota and an abortion rights group have filed a legal challenge to the state's trigger law that would end nearly all abortions. Red River Women's Clinic claims in the lawsuit filed in State District Court in Bismarck that the law is unconstitutional. The lawsuit also disputes the July 28th trigger ban's effective date. Co-defendants are Attorney General Drew Wrigley and Cass County State's Attorney Birch Burdick. The lawsuit was filed by the Center for Reproductive Rights on behalf of Red River Women's Clinic and its medical director. The clinic announced earlier that it planned to move to Moorhead once the procedure became illegal in North Dakota. A Minnesota lawmaker says he's not pleased that edibles and beverages containing THC are now legal in Minnesota. Representative Dave Baker, a Wilmer Republican, says the language was included in a large health and human services bill that came up very late in the legislative session.
We can reverse it as well, but a lot of members were caught flat-footed on this one to say, what is this? And I do not want to see edibles in Minnesota that will make you high. I don't think this is a good thing for our state.
House Democratic Majority Leader Ryan Winkler says it was done on purpose, calling it an intentional step forward. Senate Republicans strongly oppose legalizing recreational marijuana. The mayor of Carrington, North Dakota, is directing flags to be flown at half-staff for Police Chief Brandon Sola. Sola died in a motorcycle crash late last month near West Fargo. He'd been the chief in Carrington since April. He was a master sergeant with the Air Guard in Fargo. He'd been a member of the 119th Wing since 2003. Erdman says the lowering of the flags in Carrington has been done in conjunction with the order from Governor Burgum to lower flags in honor of the victims of the Highland Park, Illinois shooting. A federal judge in Florida has sentenced a man to 3 years probation for an emailed threat to kill Minnesota Congresswoman Ilhan Omar and 3 other congresswomen. 67-year-old David Hannon of Sarasota must also pay a $7,000 fine, undergo mental and substance abuse treatment, and had no contact with the Democratic lawmakers. Hannon's daughter told the judge that her father felt that former President Trump told him to act out, and he now regrets that he ever supported him. Hannon pleaded guilty to threatening a federal official. The judge noted Hannon's remorse, age, and health problems in deciding against a prison sentence. Fargo-Moorhead, we're mostly cloudy, 79, looking for a high of about 83. Isolated showers and thunderstorms. Late this afternoon into tonight, we see some light shower activity south and southeast of Fargo-Moorhead, and some heavier rain in northeastern and eastern South Dakota. That rain may continue into tonight. Isolated evening showers and thunderstorms, partly cloudy, 62. Partly sunny, less humidity tomorrow, 84. Paul Juergens, News Radio KFGO.
Well, you heard Paul Jurgens elaborate a lot more in that KFGO news update about Derek Chauvin. Sentencing is on the lower end of the expected sentence of between 20 to 25 years, and Derek Chauvin receiving 20 and 1/2 year. Prosecutors had, as you heard from Jurgi, requested the full 25 years in prison on the grounds his actions were needless and cold-blooded. You and I both saw it multiple times. I don't think that description is off at all. And that it includes a case that was not part of the state's murder. Chauvin's defense attorney, just a little while ago, said that Chauvin is so much more than just that day, May 25th, 2020, and is not a risk to reoffend. He asked the judge to sentence Chauvin to 20 years in prison. Of course, the judge, as I just said, 20 and 1/2. How are you feeling about that? Let me know at 35270 and get your thoughts on that. I want to bring up something else I heard in that the audio from Representative Dave Baker, Republican from Wilmer, Minnesota, saying, well, we're caught flat-footed on the whole passage of edibles here in Minnesota. Well, that is nobody's fault but your own, Representative Baker. That's why you read the bills. That's why you have staff out there help you understand what is fully in bills before you, in fact, vote on bills. So don't sit here and say, well, geez, they really caught us by surprise. Yeah, it's quite obvious for a lot of you it was a surprise in the legislature. That is only your fault and yours alone that you didn't know what you were voting on. So to hear this, well, we can reverse it. Here's what will happen. Between when they have a next legislative session, which there will not be a special session, there's going to be a lot of edibles bought, a lot of drinks with THC bought and consumed. And you know what? Probably going to realize, like a lot of the other states, the state didn't get set on fire. Things were okay. The people, in fact, didn't mind it whatsoever. So by the time he gets back in and he's going to vow, yeah, we can reverse this because I don't want this. Well, you passed it because you didn't do your job. So if you're looking for someone to be mad at, there's probably a mirror in the bathroom. Go take 5 minutes. Look long and hard. Say, geez, maybe I ought to do a little bit better while I'm in St. Paul. But by the time they get back in, I think people are just going to be accepting of it, those that, in fact, were surprised by that. 35270, I'm going to go to the text hub. Tyler, is that on the top of his current sentence? Yeah, this is federal. And the state sentencing was earlier. I'll send a message out and see how it, in fact, works out. I'm not an attorney. I haven't been through the judicial process at all, thankfully. So I'll message my buddy who is an attorney and who's been in law enforcement. And if he's listening, just answer. And how it all flushes out, because you have your state, you have your federal. Sentencing are different. I'm sure that he's going to end up, because of this sentencing, he'll end up in federal prison, which probably more comfortable beds. And in fact, I mean, in the serious aspect of this, everyone, both incarcerated and outside of prison, knows who Derek Chauvin is. You've seen his face everywhere. So for the sheer safety of him, I have no doubt they're going to try to put him in one of those prison settings that's going to try to keep him in safe quarters as well. But how it all fleshes out, I will find out for you. Or at least I'll make an effort in when we get you caught up with some of these messages throughout the afternoon here. But just quickly again, when it comes to lawmakers complaining that they're caught flat-footed and voted for something they didn't agree with, don't feel guilty about that. If you are selling that product right now in Moorhead or Detroit Lakes, where I'll be tomorrow, or anywhere over on that side of this great river of ours, don't feel guilty for purchasing it. You know what? Go out there. Perfectly legal. They voted for it. They, in fact, got embarrassed once they found out, probably through the news like a lot of us did. But we weren't out there pushing buttons saying yes and no to what, in fact, was going to be a state law. This is a bad look for him and nobody else. That's why I chuckle when I see some of these dispensaries and places that are selling the perfectly legal edibles and drinks with THC in Minnesota, throwing on their packaging the names and faces of lawmakers who didn't, in fact, know what they were voting for, like Jim Abler. That is on a package of gummies that has a flavor of kiwi and pomegranate in. So, yeah, we'll have more to say on that later on because it's not the only time it's ever happened. Because right now in your minds, there's going to be a lot of people saying, what? Nancy Pelosi said we got to pass it and see what's in it. Tyler, I messed up perfectly. Okay, I'm going to proofread that one. I messed up perfectly legal edibles. What are you talking about as far as edibles? What got passed? Okay, so in Minnesota, and this is Minnesota, not North Dakota. So if you're a North Dakota resident, I would not advise you, and nor would your attorney or law enforcement say, sure, you're from Fargo, go over, buy, and bring it home. But in Minnesota, the legislature passed, and if you missed our conversation, and we had it last Friday. In fact, I'm going to give my little wink and nod to Eric to try to find who the guest was last Friday. That was the attorney that helped craft this legislation that got put into a bill in Minnesota and passed. And it allows for the legal purchase of edibles and drinks that have levels of THC in. And that's the stuff that gets you high. Now, it's not, it's more stringent as far as what requirements are. And Eric's got an answer for me back there?
Jason Tarasek
Okay.
was our guest. And it's hemp-derived THC.
Yes.
So not full marijuana plants.
Right.
Hemp-derived THC.
And the way he described this last week, again, so what was the name one more time?
Jason Tarasek.
Jason Tarasek. And if you look up wherever you get your podcast, Afternoons Live, Jason Tarasek, you'll be able to find that. But the way he described it last Friday, when it became legal, July 1st, was that it was kind of the middle ground, a hybrid of what other states have passed. He pointed at, I think, at California. He pointed at other states that have had this, and he thought that they have not had this holy cow moment. What have we done? In fact, life went on just fine. But in Minnesota, it's kind of a first of its own here, in that there's already states across the country looking at what they passed and will be following along to see how successful or how there was negativity, unintended consequences to this, and they might take this up in their states as well. But yes, in Minnesota, you can go over there, or you can go to your. I keep saying over there because I'm sitting in North Dakota. I hope you understand that. Do not take that out of context and say, well, I heard Tyler say it on KFGO. I'm not letting you buy on that one. But in Minnesota, you can go buy that right now. And you got lawmakers griping, the ones that voted for it, they didn't know what they were voting for, and they're playing the victim card. And I'm telling you, don't buy it and don't let them get by with it. If they voted for it and and if they didn't know what was in it, that's their own damn fault. That means they're not very good lawmakers, and they should actually do a little bit more research before that final bill comes before them for that final vote. 35270. When can we buy these? You already can if you're in Minnesota, and I see that you're a 218 number. Starting last Friday is when you could buy those. If somebody has, and you want to stay anonymous, 35270, let me know how your experience was as far as the purchase itself and if there was any unusualness that happened there. And we'll share that with the rest of the audience as well. But I got to take a quick break here. We'll come back more Afternoons Live in just about 10 minutes' time following Paul Jurgens' update in the News Center. We'll have Tanner Cherney, Devil's Lake Tourism. We'll talk about fishing up on beautiful Devil's Lake, how you can still get in for some guided fishing. Also, you can go ahead and get ready for Rib Fest up there. That's next week, and he'll tell you about all that and more coming up right here on KFGO. Panthers traded for Baker Mayfield yesterday for a 5th round pick in 2024, and I am seeing a lot of chatter from Vikings fans on Twitter saying, well, we should offer Carolina a 6th round pick for Sam Darnold. Would have a decent backup. Decent soul at the eye of the beholder there. So, yeah, maybe you'll end up with Sam Darnold as your backup. We'll take the rookie Matt Corral. Just saying, if you want him, you can have him. 1 year was more than enough for me to have Sam Darnold. So you can go sit on the field. 3527. That person don't want to go on air. Oh, okay.
Oh, it's a telemarketer.
Oh.
Yeah, I'm guessing you
the
didn't
next
want
time a telemarketer calls in, I want them on air.
Deal.
I want to know what product they're selling.
Deal.
What kind of sweet deals can I get?
Deal.
We can have a lot of fun with that, probably. I don't think there's any FCC rules. I don't want to find out the hard way, but...
Yeah, that could be a tricky one. I think you do have to inform them that they're on air as soon as they're actually on air.
That doesn't sound very fun, then. They'd probably just hang up on us, which a lot of people just want to hang up on them anyway. 237-594. That's the Laney Studio line if I didn't share that with you. I'll share more of what I got back from our attorney friend once I get a chance to read up on this, because I think it's a fair question. When you've got the state sentencing coming down on Derek Chauvin, you add another 20 years on the federal, how is that going to be served on his behalf? And again, I do believe that he'll be on the federal prison side because of safety concerns for him. I mean, you have a former cop that is now charged and he's behind bars. So I understand that concern, even if a lot of people out there saying, well, good, let him have at him. But we'll get more information out there for you. In just a little bit, we're going to be joining Tanner Cherney, Devil's Eye Tourism, because you know what? We're still in those beautiful summer months. In fact, 4th of July is behind us. That doesn't mean that summer is coming to a fast end. And it's perfect time to get on up there, get the pontoon, get the fishing boat, drop it in. They've got a lot of public access up there. In fact, we're going to be heading up there here in a couple of weeks. I'll tell you about where we're broadcasting from. But he'll tell you this weekend, if you want to get on up there, where you should go, what kind of setup you should have. And I'd encourage you to stop out at Woodland Resort and Ty's Lodge as well over at the Ackerman Acres if you're choosing that side of the lake. Stop and tell them we sent you up there on KFGO. And then we got Audibles. I know that we got Abby Miller. We've got Derek Hansen and Jake from Froggy 99.9. Your chance to win a free The Works car wash from Don's. You can put a smile on your car and on your face. Check in with Paul Jurgens here in just a moment. As far as where you can go and buy this product, I'll try to see if we can track someone down to let us know on the Minnesota side as well. But like I said, I think what I heard is there wasn't any stipulation on there. The requirement 21 and older. And that is pretty much it. North Dakota residents, a whole different ballgame for you out there. In fact, you want to get onto this, well, you might have an opportunity because the petition's still getting signed out there. And I have no doubt that there will be an initiated measure that is before you in November. And I've told you time and time again, I'm going to do it one more time. If that thing gets on the ballot, which I think it will pass in North Dakota. If South Dakota can pass recreational and medical on the same ballot before Kristi Noem throws it out by using her law enforcement, South Dakota can do it. North Dakota will do it. No doubt in my mind. Tell me how you think I'm wrong. 35270. Get you caught up, Paul Jurgens at that KFGO News Center. More Afternoons Live right after this on KFGO.
News and weather this hour brought to you by Muscatel Pre-Owned. Muscatel's was voted #1 by localsloveus.com for good reason. So stop in today to Muscatel Pre-Owned, just off exit 1 in Moorhead.
Mostly cloudy, 79. I'm Paul Jurgens. Former Minneapolis police officer Derek Chauvin has been sentenced to 21 years in federal prison for his guilty plea to violating George Floyd's civil rights. He was sentenced in federal court in St. Paul.
Chauvin told George Floyd's family that he wished them all the best in their lives. He did not offer any type of apology. Chauvin is already serving a 22-and-a-half-year state sentence for killing Floyd.
Reporter Laura Oakes, Chauvin will serve the time in federal prison. That sentence will be concurrent and not add to the 22 years he received after a jury convicted him of murder and manslaughter in the May 2020 death. His lawyer argued for 20 years, while the prosecution wanted the top sentence of 25 years. 79, this is KFGO News. Mostly cloudy at 79. This is KFGO News. North Dakota's abortion clinic is suing to block enforcement of a trigger law banning abortion following the U.S. Supreme Court's decision to ban abortions in most states. Red River Women's Clinic in Fargo says the ban violates the rights to life, safety, and happiness guaranteed by the state constitution that protect the right to abortion. The suit also questions Attorney General Drew Wrigley's announcement that the ban takes effect July 28th. The clinic argues that the Supreme Court has released its opinion but has not yet issued its judgment. The clinic says that's a separate step necessary to trigger the North Dakota law. An abortion rights group filed a lawsuit on behalf of the clinic. One person was taken to a hospital after a stabbing in South Fargo last evening. Police responded to the 1000 block of Page Drive. That was about 6:15. There's no word on the extent of injuries or whether anyone has been arrested. Officers had a section of Page Drive closed to traffic as they began their investigation. A Bemidji man who escaped from the Becker County Courthouse in Detroit Lakes yesterday afternoon after he was sentenced to prison has been captured. 25-year-old Alexander Rulbear ran out of the courthouse from the second floor courtroom. He had just been sentenced to over a year and a half in prison for a previous escape charge. Several agencies began an immediate search for Rulbear, who was eventually arrested in Detroit Lakes around 10:30 last night. Sheriff's Office was assisted by Detroit Lakes Police, the State Patrol, and Callaway Police. A man who escaped from a minimum security prison near Bismarck has been arrested in South Dakota. David Korn was arrested by Aberdeen Police last night. An Aberdeen woman, investigators say helped him escape from the Missouri River Correctional Center south of Bismarck, was arrested earlier. They say the woman picked up Korn at the prison. She's facing felony charges. Korn pleaded guilty in April to fleeing police, drug charges, and car theft. The judge sentenced him to 3 years in prison. And North Dakota is set to receive the first payment of its $1.8 million in a $45 million settlement with opioid distributors by the end of the month. The settlement resolves claims by the state that the companies helped fuel the opioid crisis. The money will be received over 18 years and likely go to North Dakota's Department of Human Services. The Attorney General's office expects another $1.6 million payment by the end of the year. Isolated showers, thunderstorms possible this afternoon into tonight. 62 for the overnight low with a light north-northeast wind tomorrow. Less humid, partly sunny, and about 84. Saturday, partly sunny, more humidity with a chance of showers, thunderstorms Saturday night. 88 in the afternoon. 92 Sunday, partly sunny, humid, chance of showers and thunderstorms. Mostly cloudy, 79. Paul Jurgens, News Radio, KFGO.
All right, to the texter that asked about Derek Chauvin, is this on top of his current sentence? The federal sentence will run concurrently with the 22 and a half years he received in the Hennepin County Court for murdering George Floyd. And there's an interesting stat that I was able to find as well from the U.S. Attorney's Office now arguing for a high end of the plea deal, which, of course, that was the 25. But in the federal system, inmates typically spend 85% of their terms in custody. So, it's at the discretion of the judge, this, that, the other thing. You have good behavior, and the conduct of that inmate. All of that does play a role, but federally, sentencing and the time spent by inmates is 85%. And prosecution did ask for concurrent sentence as well. So I want to thank my attorney friend for sending that on in as I was talking as well. CBS National News on the way. Let's talk fishing on Devil's Lake with Tanner Cherney right after this. That time of the week, we head up to part of our North Country. It's the Devil's Lake, North Dakota, where we connect with Tanner Cherney. He is with the Devil's Lake Tourism. Tanner, it is a Thursday afternoon. We've just finally got a little cloud cover here. How are things up there?
Things are good up here. We got a little bit of off and on rain, which has been kind of the story of the spring and summer, but nevertheless, we've had some recent heat and good days that really are starting to make it feel like that midsummer walleye bite that's going to be knocking at our door.
Yeah, you're right about the periodic showers, something that for about 3 years we couldn't say much of. I'm glad to see it. It feels back to normal, and I hope I don't just jinx anything, and I'm sure there's farmers out there upset I even said it. But, yeah, we're kind of in that pattern of heat, humidity during the day, maybe an overnight shower, and you know what? It's kind of good. I enjoy it. I know it's helped the lake up there quite a bit.
It has. You know what? I think we're up about 4.5 feet since ice off come April. So, all of our boat ramps are sitting in good shape. And just overall, from the way the sentiment was this spring with the drought conditions and where we are now, I think everyone's very pleasantly surprised how things have changed up here in the matter of 4 months.
Yeah. I know last year at this time it was looking pretty bleak as far as how down the lake had been over the last 3-4 years. To have that dramatic turnaround was something to behold. But fishing, you say, we're in that walleye, that bite. I don't feel like it's ever really stopped up there. But here we are. We've got some warmer temps, as you said, and that's driving perhaps a little bit more deeper. Or are we still at about that 15, 20-foot mark?
A little bit deeper, and that's the one thing about this lake, which is very unique, especially with walleye fishing, is like you always think dog days of summer, hot, 90 degrees. Fishing starts to slow down, but up here, just with the dirty murkiness of our water and the different varied structure, all these fish just kind of not necessarily migrate, but transition throughout the summer patterns. And yeah, right now we're noticing a lot of these fish are kind of sliding out to that about 20-foot, 25-foot range in some areas, but definitely a little deeper than, pre-4th of July. It's starting to transition a little bit.
So what's the setup you've been using to get them? So what colors, all that, people are wondering?
Bottom bouncer and spinner, as you hear me say time and time again, is like the most deadly combo on Devil's Lake, just for the fact that you can cover water, you can fish a lot of varied structures. I mean, you can fish the old shorelines, you can fish rock humps, you can fish, right outside the submerged trees. You may get into a little bit more snags and lose a little bit more equipment, but bobbers and leeches are still working great. And then people are starting to pull crankbaits with lead core. So those are kind of the three main tactics. And the beauty of it is each one's producing fish. So if you have a preference, you can kind of stick to what you like or no, and definitely catch a few walleyes.
Yeah. Last weekend, obviously 4th of July, or just a couple of days ago, I saw a number of people were up there. It must have had a good turnout as far as celebrations go.
We did. It was a busy time in town, and the nice thing is, Creel Bay, you always think of Devil's Lake as a fishing bay or a fishing lake, but you get Creel Bay and some of these other places with the resorts and campgrounds, and it's often overlooked, but there are some excellent opportunities for just water recreation, whether you're looking for a pleasure ride or going out tubing or getting a little water skiing in, or swimming at some of the little beaches we do have around the area. So it was great to see everyone out and enjoying the beautiful weather and taking in the festivities.
Looking forward on the calendar, I believe it's next weekend. We've got Rib Fest up in Devil's Lake. This is like the 6th annual going on up there?
It is, yeah. It's exciting. We have a Rib Fest competition that takes place in the park, and I tell you what, there's nothing better than summer grilling ribs. It's going to be a good time, and all of the information that gives the dates, how to get tickets, can be read on our website at devilslakend.com on our events tab, and it has all the information for the Rib Fest.
Very good. Tanner, what I miss? They were saying, why didn't you ask me this week? Or if there's any other tidbit of advice you want to get out to those anglers out there, now's your chance, man.
Oh, I would say the biggest thing right now, like I said last week too, is, color presentations are changing on the daily, but the biggest thing to kind of take into account, especially with walleye fishing, bright sunny days, use brighter colors, your gold, your chartreuse. And if you get a cloudier day, don't be afraid to go to a little bit of a darker color and maximize having two rods in your rod holders. It's just a great way to figure out what these fish are really preferring.
Very good, Tanner. I always appreciate the check-in, man. We'll do it again next Thursday, all right?
Sounds good, Tyler. Enjoy your weekend.
Yeah, you do the same. I appreciate that. Tanner Cherney is with Devil's Lake Tourism, and devilslakend.com is where you can go check out some of the fishing reports, but you can also find out your lodging of the upcoming events like that Rib Fest that is going to be a week from, I believe, Saturday. So all that is in one convenient location. It's just a click away. CBS National News, in fact, we just did that. I meant KFGO weather, How about we get you a forecast update instead? We'll do that, then we'll wrap up the second hour of Afternoons Live. Then it's Audibles. You got Abby Miller, Derek Hansen, Jake from Froggy 99.9, myself, I'm Tyler Axis. You can text in who you think's going to win at 35270, then be listening for 4 o'clock to strike here on KFGO. 3:50, fast approaching 3:51 on a Thursday afternoon. Thanks for keeping it locked in here on KFGO. This just stumbled across, and United States Secret Service Director James Murray announces retirement. So, 27 years I served as a Secret Service Director. The only reason why this caught my attention, I mean, one, that's a long time in service. That's a lot of administrations that he was the Secret Service chief director here. But Secret Service has been in the news a lot since Cassidy Hutchinson's testimony, which was, I believe, just the last week. Was it 2 weeks ago? And if you recall the claims, and this is the one that stuck out to a lot of people because you wanted to point out and say, nope, it's been debunked, which isn't true, as when Cassidy Hutchinson made the claim that after the rally that happened, Donald Trump, then president, was angry that the Secret Service was not driving him to the Capitol and that he allegedly lunged at not only the steering wheel but the throat of one of the other agents. Hasn't been debunked yet, but I welcome the testimony from the Secret Service, who did say following that they are willing to come in and testify or speak to it. So, is it timing suspicious in your mind? Or is it, look, the guy did 27 years. He deserves retirement, which isn't wrong. But you've got two now scheduled hearings for the January 6th committee again next week. And if the Secret Service is willing to come out, I've said, and I'm going to say it again, that whether you liked what you heard from Cassie Hutchinson, said, yep, absolutely, everything she said was true. If you hated it, said, nope, she's a liar, this, that, the other thing. If anything come of her willingness to go and say under oath what she did, is the fact that it seems to maybe have put a bigger crack in the dam of at least getting people to come out and speak their story under oath. And if the Secret Service, whether it's this director that just retired, if this has any part of it, that this now frees him up to go and say, nope, she was completely wrong, I welcome it. You should too. Or if it, in fact, no, she wasn't all wrong, here's, in fact, what happened, then I hope that this opportunity now for these individuals that, because of Cassidy Hutchinson, went out and actually spoke under oath instead of hiding behind her smartphone and tweeting out whatever, fits whatever narrative, that maybe this, in fact, is going to allow some more honesty and, quite frankly, get into the bottom of things a little bit more quickly. People that didn't even think that this committee should have formed and that they should be investigating this, I think you're wrong. But for those that do think this is worthy of investigating, I mean, how long of an investigation are we looking at here? Because for me, and I've heard it, is the fact that there should just be accountability. There's been accountability for people that actually broke in to the Capitol. Yeah, in fact, you just heard an update here at the bottom of the hour in the KFGO News. There's people from this region that were there. Some of them are being held account, but those that, in fact, planned it well ahead, and those that, kept encouraging it during, I mean, at what point is their responsibility, and should there be accountability there? Tell me if I'm reading too much into this. I'm sure some of you think that. 35270. You can send that in. You can also call me. Say, Tyler, you're a conspiracy theorist at 237-5948. Perhaps it's nothing. Perhaps, in fact, we'll be hearing from him, because 27 years, think of all the things he saw over the previous administrations, whether it's, Clinton, Trump, Obama, now Biden. I mean, boy, he's been around for a long time, taking these presidents and their families elsewhere. Tell you what we're going to do. There are a couple of messages that came in about Boris Johnson as well, which I'm going to put this disclosure out there as far as following Parliament, all that. It's entertaining. I mean, the way of which they grill each other in a fashion over there where they have question time, very entertaining. Don't care that much, though. But Boris Johnson did, in fact, resign, or announce he was going to be resigning earlier today. And there's people saying, well, look, he kind of skimmed by the vote of no confidence, but it came down to people resigning and saying, look, this is no longer working for him to do it. I don't know what happens next, though, as far as now who's going to be leading next. I know Ukraine, looking at the situation, not happy about that. So, yes, I acknowledge it. I've briefly caught on to what was going on. Haven't been all consumed by it because, you know what? I just not that intrigued by it. But if you are, I respect that. I'm going to get to the phone lines. You can call in at 237-5948. That's where I'm going to connect with Scott. Scott, thanks for calling in. How are you today?
Not bad. How about you?
I'm doing okay. You know, I'm looking at 4 o'clock right around the corner. We're getting there. That 5 o'clock punch out's upon us.
Absolutely. Then it's lake time.
It is. I'm jealous. I don't have one of them to be going to, but I get the excitement. But Scott, you want to talk about this retirement?
Yeah, I would just wanted to bring up a point that I know that Joel interviewed someone months back, Alexander Vindeman, who somehow, after long years of service, being the whistleblower, he never got his promotion. And, in that line, he was, strongly encouraged, I believe, if I remember reading it correctly, that he was encouraged to retire early so that the other people that were awaiting promotion as well could also get their promotion.
Sure.
So it's pressure, I believe, that Vindeman did retire so that his other courts could receive their higher rank.
Scott, I'm up against the clock. I'll address that after the break here, but I got a hard out here at CBS. More messages coming in. I'll talk to Scott's point right after this on KFGO. Headed for our weekly showdown of audibles is brought to you by Don's Car Wash. You can put a smile on your car and on your face if you choose correctly at 35270. Who's going to win? Abby Miller, producer, News and Views.
We've seen so much of each other
I know,
today.
yeah. It's a good thing I'm going to be gone tomorrow. I'm in
Really?
Detroit Lakes,
Oh.
yeah. Oh, shucks.
Maybe I'll need you on News and Views again.
Yeah, well, tough cookies on that one. Derek Hanson's the show. He'll fill in if he has to.
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah.
I'll do what I can.
You'll probably be our sports.
No, Jack's not leaving. It's Sioux Falls tomorrow, so he's going to be
Okay.
here in the morning. So
Okay, well, we're doing live programming on Audibles here.
Right.
Jake from Froggy 99.9, he's back. He's gotten over the fact he almost blew the building up.
I was
gosh.
so embarrassed that I couldn't show my face
Good
last
show.
week.
No, well, you're back.
That is never going to be let go of.
No,
No, it's not.
every
Ever.
single time that
It's
you're on this show.
It's funny. Abby texted me the morning. I think it was the morning after. She's
Yeah.
like, "You guys, we're talking about you in the morning."
Yeah, but
I think that's when Tyler
did she tell you
stormed
that she
in.
also lied and said that I was at fault here? 'Cause
I did.
that's how
I
remember it.
tried to help you, Jake. I tried to blame Tyler.
Didn't work so well. Audible's coming up right after this KFGO News.
KFGO News, Fargo-Moorhead, mostly cloudy. It's 79. I'm Paul Jurgens. A federal judge has sentenced Derek Chauvin to 21 years in prison for violating George Floyd's civil rights, telling the former Minneapolis police officer what he did was simply wrong and offensive. Judge Paul Magnuson sharply criticized Chauvin for his conduct when he pinned Floyd to the pavement outside a Minneapolis corner store for more than 9 minutes. Even so, Magnuson's sentence was at the low end of the 20 to 25 years called for in a plea agreement. He will serve the federal sentence at the same time he serves his 22-year sentence on state convictions for murder and manslaughter. The clinic that performs abortions in North Dakota and an abortion rights group have filed a legal challenge to the state's trigger law that would end nearly all abortions. Red River Women's Clinic claims in the lawsuit filed in State District Court in Bismarck that the law is unconstitutional. The lawsuit also disputes the July 28th trigger ban's effective date. Co-defendants are Attorney General Drew Wrigley and Cass County State's Attorney Birch Burdick. The lawsuit was filed by the Center for Reproductive Rights on behalf of Red River Women's Clinic and its medical director. The clinic had announced earlier that it planned to move them to Moorhead once the procedure became illegal in North Dakota. A White Earth tribal judge has dismissed charges against 3 people who protested the Enbridge 3 pipeline in northern Minnesota last year. They were charged with criminal trespassing at an 8-day ceremonial camp at Firelight Camp. It is on land near where Enbridge Energy built the pipeline. White Earth Court Judge David DeGroat says the protesters' actions were lawful exercises of protected sovereign rights reserved in an 1855 treaty. A former teacher at a central Minnesota school is facing an assault charge for throwing a floor hockey stick at a child during a gym class earlier this year. The child lost a tooth. 62-year-old Kimberly Neubauer has been charged with third-degree assault. According to a criminal complaint, police were alerted by the Minnesota Department of Education that an investigation was underway. The 8-year-old boy was a second-grade student. Surveillance video was released to police, which showed the boy toss a hockey stick into a pile with others. Neubauer is seen picking the stick up and throwing it toward the child, hitting him in the mouth. KFGO Weather Center forecast partly cloudy. Isolated evening showers, thunderstorms, some rain off to our southwest and south, with some lighter shower activity in west central Minnesota. 62 overnight, partly sunny, less humidity tomorrow, 84 the high. 88 Saturday, partly sunny. Humidity returns once again with a chance of showers, thunderstorms Saturday night. Partly sunny, humid for Sunday. Possible showers and storms in 92. Mostly cloudy, 79. Paul Jurgens, News Radio KFGO.
Okay, we're taking this on air. Now, the 4th of July is behind us, so we can actually talk about fireworks without anybody getting all upset. Explain to me why you can go to any good old-fashioned fireworks stand. You can't buy bottle rockets in North Dakota, but you can buy the biggest rocket on the most thick wood stick, and that's fine.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't either. So no one's got.
I have no answers.
It doesn't.
Weren't you in the legislature when they changed some fireworks rules
I
in North
was, and
Dakota?
I fought against the bottle rocket thing, but then
What was the reasoning for it? Do you remember?
Yes, and you're going to make me look like a really bad
Because
man
they-
by saying the story
Because
that
they were
was
shooting
told.
because people were shooting them at each other, or I mean,
So there was an injury involved. I get it.
Somebody put somebody's eye out?
Yes, in fact, that is, but I think it was their own. So I get it. It's dangerous.
Well, we know it's dangerous going in, right?
I know, that's same.
To me, when you that's reactionary legislation that I hate. It's kind of like it's we're not gonna. People unfortunately pass away in car accidents. We're not banning cars. That's the way I look at some of these things.
And I can go to yours, or you can go buy.
Well, yeah, I can go buy bottle rockets.
Yeah,
if I show my Minnesota driver's license, where they're illegal. By the way,
right? You have to buy them in North Dakota.
None of this. Yeah. None of it makes sense.
I can also, you only have a window. Like I think it's the week leading up to.
Yeah, we get like 5 days.
I could call the owners of all these people that advertise on KFGO, and I could go get them right now if I wanted to, because I have a Minnesota license.
See, there are perks.
You could get it in North Dakota.
Yeah.
What do you think? It's illegal to transfer across state lines?
Well, it is. I'm not supposed to bring them back.
Are you kidding me?
No.
This is all very just stupid.
Sorry, Sergeant Grable,
so
if you're listening,
yes.
I'm admitting I may be breaking some laws every once in a while. So, yes, it's very true. And it's one of these things where Minnesota's stupid for not having them legal anyway, because we're losing out on all this revenue compared to the Dakotas, Iowa, and Wisconsin. All these Minnesotans are going across the lines. So we're losing out on sales tax revenue, because Abby and I, we were both in Minnesota on the 4th of July. I mean, It's too bad we didn't get to see fireworks because they're illegal, right?
Yeah, there were none on our list. I didn't see any.
I mean, everyone, including myself.
So at the lakes, because clearly you guys have never shot off a firework.
Never.
It's illegal.
And we've never seen them at the lake either.
No. But you've heard a boom in the distance. Do your neighbors complain? Because here in Fargo, where it's still illegal to shoot them off, people are still.
I think
really
at the lake they're
about
pretty good about wrapping up about 11 o'clock.
Yeah, I don't think they complain. And also, time is just.
So nobody's knocked on your door, said, Abby, stop shooting these?
No, because I'd have to be shooting them.
No.
Time is not relevant at the lake also.
So that's my thing.
No concept
Whenever I love firefighters and all with the Minnesota Fires Association. Well, you don't need more fireworks. You can't get any more fireworks than at the lake this past weekend.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
We just had to get that off our chest.
Thank you. Sorry.
Yeah,
Let's start the game. All right.
Everybody take a deep breath. We can play audibles now. This is brought to you by Don's Car Wash. Smile in a car on your face. You have to choose correctly who's going to win. Abby, Derek, Jake, I'm Tyler. Eric Johnson, he put together the game.
I did, and it is that time to play. We've got 5 categories, 4 pieces of audio, scaled scoring. First up piece, you get 4 points. Second piece, 3 points, so on. Ring in with your name. Answer incorrectly, you're out for that category. Derek won last week. He'll select the first one. After that, whoever gets the correct answer selects the next one. Derek, would you like song, actor, character, TV show, or movie?
Actor, please.
Actor, audio clip, number 1.
Man, all we do is work. We need a break. Let's play a game.
Actor, audio clip, number 2.
A warrior on the road never divulges the nature of his quest. One never knows if his aim may conflict with another's.
Abby?
As we were on the same path.
Abby.
I suppose you
Natalie Portman.
Yes! Correct. I knew it on the first one, and I couldn't think of her name. I was going crazy. Oh,
I would have been way off. I was going to Drew Barrymore, and I was not going to
shake that. That was a name that kept popping in my head, and I could not think Natalie Portman. It was driving me nuts.
Well, I got it.
Oh.
All right, I'll allow that. Well,
wow.
Somebody did.
Abby out to the early 3-point lead.
Somebody is choosing you as Abs, by the way. Just
ooh, nickname.
I mean, if it sticks.
Right.
1B or 2B in Abs?
It's usually
just
1.
1B.
It's usually 1, yeah.
Okay. All right. Abby out to the 3-point lead. 4 categories remaining. Would you like song, character, TV show, or movie?
Movie.
Movie. Audio clip number 1.
If we're going to Virginia, why don't we drop by Fort Knox? I can fly a helicopter right in through the lobby and set it down inside the vault. And it would be a hell of a lot easier than breaking into the CIA.
Movie. Audio clip number 2.
Well, for a little over 2 years, we've been spotting serious blowback in IMF operations. We have a penetration. The other day, we decoded a message on the internet from a Czech we know as Max.
Movie. Audio clip number 3.
The terminal is in a black vault lockdown. The only person allowed in the room has to pass through.
Is it Mission Impossible?
That is correct.
The original Mission Impossible.
How many
M1. There's been
are there?
a lot.
Yeah. And there's another one coming. I saw a preview.
Yeah,
for
and
it.
already billed as a two-parter.
Yeah. So
Right.
2 more.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's a two-parter.
Can't Tom Cruise just be done? I mean, he did Maverick. He broke all these records. He could be done.
After Top Gun Maverick, I'm sure he's going to be done. No, what a lack of a box office draw he is. Yeah.
But end with the best, you know?
You know, when we talk about action movie heroes, Tom Cruise never gets added to the conversation. Should he?
I think he could be in that conversation.
Yeah.
Even when he shouldn't have been casted for
that's a mixed. I'm saying that's about 50-50 right now. Let me know at 35270. Do you think Tom Cruise is an action hero? Or do you just picture him in a cocktail?
All the big topics of the day.
All right, Abby's still in the lead with 3 points. Derek now on the board with 2. 3 categories remaining. Derek, would you like song, character, or TV show?
Character.
Character. Fictional character. Audio clip number 1.
Easy. You just have to be a genius.
Character. Audio clip number 2.
In this little game, I am the ace of trump. Make a positive from instant compound X, then get into your outfit.
Character. Audio clip number 3.
I simply love what you've done with this place.
Tyler.
Heavy metal meets house.
Tyler's first.
The Riddler.
Darn it.
I was gonna go with that one the last time. Absolutely, Cruise is. Okay, well, there's one. Tom Cruise is an action star.
1 vote for Tom.
One vote for yes. He's been in a lot of action movies.
Yeah, I think Jack Reacher and Mission Impossible. He's probably,
Top Gun.
That's Top Gun. Yeah, he did well on those.
right.
Not the traditional carrying the 4 missile launcher on his shoulder.
No, I mean,
nothing's going to get close to Arnold.
Yeah, he's not Arnold or The Rock. Yeah, I give you that. But
all right, we have ourselves a game today. Abby's still in the lead with 3 points. Tyler and Derek tied with 2. Jake yet to score, but 2 categories remaining. Tyler, would you like song or TV show?
TV show, please.
TV show. Audio clip number 1.
We gather to celebrate the dawn of a bright and bountiful future that begins right here.
TV show. Audio clip number 2.
On page 17, you'll see a timeline depicting a series of district-wide salvagings beginning next week.
I thought we discussed sending them to the colonies.
Colonies are a slap on the wrist.
TV show. Audio clip number 3.
Oh, you are so
Abby.
lucky.
Abby.
Handmaid's Tale.
That is correct.
I could have been sitting here for 5 hours and not have guessed that.
You would have had to play the show in its entirety for me to figure out.
I don't know if the credits would have helped me.
What's the giveaway clue?
The giveaway clue for TV show.
Mrs. Waterford did make one attempt to improve conditions for the women and young girls of Gilead.
That is
She
a lot
appeared
of
in front of the Commander's Council and read out loud from the Bible.
I could have pulled it out of thin air.
I couldn't have.
I feel like
if
you recognize the voice, if you know the actress, that
Gilead, Commanders, Bible, a lot of heavy clues there. But I mean, if you haven't seen it, you haven't seen it.
No.
Clues for
sweet.
Yeah.
All right, here's where we sit. Abby now with a 5-2 lead. Jake unfortunately cannot win this week, but you can look it up for Abby with a correct answer
here?
at any point.
Jake, we're in this together. I saved you. I said that Tyler lied.
She lied on your behalf. She tried to save you. She did not succeed.
I
tried. Tyler and Derek, you need 3 points for the tie, 4 for the win. Final category is song. Everybody's favorite song. Audio clip number 1. Song. Audio clip number 2.
Derek. I'm going to go with If I Could Walk 1,000 Miles. I don't know. No. I had a guess.
Can you replay that clip for me? Because I got a guess. Come on. He jumped in on the clip.
That was the whole clip.
That was
maybe.
the whole clip.
Yeah.
He broke my concentration over here. That's not fair.
Oh, because you know it?
I might. You guys are all just teaming up because you don't want me to win.
Well,
Can I get it? Jake?
Tyler literally today.
Guess something.
Do you remember in the studio when I said, I hope I win today? And you said, don't you hope that every week? And I said, well, yeah.
Or you lose is what you might have.
I'm just hoping to hear just a snippet of that clip again.
Song.
Ooh,
Audio clip.
Shady.
Just guess something.
You can't. No, you can't. You cannot go on. Give me a chance here. This is.
You have yet to ring in. So.
But Tyler, because you're not going to play it now.
I don't even remember what the clip was.
I'd same. That's why I'm.
It sounded kind of angelic.
And I can't get his clue out of my mind either now.
You did say your name though.
Yeah.
Clock's ticking.
I'm going to go with.
What if you got
That's
it?
all right, Mama.
I don't actually think that's. I think
that's
it's
all right.
I think it's just that's all right.
Who is that?
And if that's what song it is, I'm going to be very upset because I said Mama at the end.
That'd be
Song.
funny.
Audio clip number 3.
I wanna kiss you every minute, every hour, every day. You got me in a spin, but everything will be okay.
And finally, song. Audio clip number 4.
Touching you, touching me,
Jake.
Jake.
Oh my! Crazy something.
That's the title.
I mean, you said some of the words in the title.
I actually don't know the name.
Anything?
The turbo speed.
I love that every time Jake brings it, he freezes right at that moment.
I do. Every time.
The correct answer is I believe in a thing called love by The Darkness.
By default.
That's like 20 years old now.
Did you say by default?
I mean,
By default.
There is a
Ding,
song.
ding, ding, ding.
Heavens.
I wouldn't have got that one.
That was our prom song.
That sounded a lot like That's All Right, Mama.
I just was thinking Elvis is so hot right now.
This is the actual deal here?
Yeah, this is the real song.
By The Darkness.
Yeah. It was great. It was because it was like 20 years after hairband stuff, and it kind of made fun of it.
It had still a kind of a classic rock feel to it.
It's
Their album is pretty good. Go download it. Go Spotify, iTunes.
It's like almost 20 years old, too, which freaks
Go on
me out.
Napster.
Napster.
LimeWire.
Yeah, LimeWire. Get all those viruses on your phones and computers. Abby, you won.
I was just sitting and waiting.
You were. It's been a long time coming, but you know what?
It's been some months.
Congrats.
Thank you.
One of you, should I pick Abs, the person that said, I think Abs will win for you?
Yeah.
Because there's a number of people that at least wanted you to win in the text club at 352.
Abby's last win almost exactly 2 months ago, May 5th.
I would have thought it was longer.
May 5th.
Felt like a lifetime, didn't it? Abby Miller wins Audibles. In fact, you're going to be the real winner. If you checked, if you went for Abs in the text club at 35270, you'll be watching for a text back from me. You can get your smile on your car and on your face. We'll come back to the conversation. Is Tom Cruise, in fact, an action star? Oh, he shut you off. He said that's
Did
enough.
anyone else vote?
Yes. In fact, I got a message on my personal phone. I don't know if he wants me to say his name, but I appreciate him texting. Here's one for you. If Tom Cruise is a top action movie star, then Donald Trump is a great statesman. No, just no.
Wow.
Heated conversation.
That is a strong view.
Coming back to Tom Cruise right after this here on KFGO. Out to you. Here's a little fact for you. Tom Cruise was older in Mission Impossible Rogue Nation at 52 than Wilford Brimley was in Cocoon in 51. Now explain to me, because I talked about this with Cheers before. All the Norms, all those guys were my age. They were in their 30s, but they all looked like they were in their mid-60s. What was it about that era of which people just looked older? Was it the outfits? Was it the mustaches, which are coming back? And fellas, just because you can grow a mustache does not mean you should, because not all of you that are strutting around with them are pulling them off. But I'm going to give you when we come back. I just got this sign from my producer that we've only got a second here. I'm going to read off the names of Tom Cruise movies, and you're going to have a tough time telling me he's not an action movie star. But first, we'll get you caught up with KFGO News. Final half hour, we'll have a little bit of fun. Whatever you want to get off your chest, I'm here for you. You can join me at 35270. It's provided by the Eye Consultants of North Dakota. And call me. Latest studio line is 237-5948. I'm Tyler Axis. You're listening to Afternoons Live here on KFGO.
served both sentences in a federal prison. 78, this is KFGO News. '78, this is KFGO News. North Dakota's abortion clinic is suing to block enforcement of a trigger law banning abortion following the U.S. Supreme Court's decision to ban abortions in most states. Red River Women's Clinic in Fargo says the ban violates the rights to life, safety, and happiness guaranteed by the state constitution that protect the right to abortion. The suit also questions Attorney General Drew Wrigley's announcement that the ban takes effect July 28th. The clinic argues that the Supreme Court has released its opinion but has not yet issued its judgment. The clinic says that's a separate step necessary to trigger the North Dakota law. An abortion rights group filed the lawsuit on behalf of the clinic. An inmate who walked away from the minimum security Missouri River Correctional Center near Bismarck is back in custody. 35-year-old David Korn was located and arrested by the Aberdeen, South Dakota Police Department. He left the prison on Tuesday. He was found last night. Investigators say he was picked up by a woman who will face charges. Korn is serving time for drugs, fleeing a peace officer, and vehicle theft. Governor Walz has announced that veterans who served from 9/11 on can apply for a bonus payment to recognize their service. The post-9/11 Veteran Service Bonus Program was included in the most recent legislative session as part of the first comprehensive Veterans Omnibus Bill in recent memory. The law consists of nearly $25 million for service bonuses to post-9/11 era veterans and Gold Star families. Eligible veterans or currently serving military members must have served sometime between September 11, 2001 and August 30th of last year. Residents and businesses in Carrington, North Dakota, are flying flags at half-staff in memory of Police Chief Brandon Sola. He was killed in a motorcycle crash on I-94 near West Fargo on June 28th. Mayor Tom Erdman.
This request to lower our flags is in conjunction with Governor Burgum's directive to fly our flags at half-staff for the victims of the Highland Park, Illinois shooting on July 4th from now through Saturday evening.
Sola, who was married with 5 children, was also a Master Sergeant with the Air National Guard in Fargo. He'd been a member of the 119th Wing since 2003. Funeral services will be held Saturday at Oak Valley Lutheran Church in Velva. He'll be buried at the Fargo National Veterans Cemetery. Again, strong thunderstorm has developed south of Fargo-Moorhead, Wilkin, and Richland counties. The storm is near Wahpeton, nearly stationary. It's a small cell, no warning up on that. Still funnel clouds, at least one has been reported there. Should be around Brushvale, Minnesota, around 4:45, and into the Wahpeton Breckenridge area between 4:50 and 5 o'clock this afternoon. Fargo-Moorhead, partly cloudy, decreasing dew points tonight. Isolated evening showers, thunderstorms. KFGO meteorologist Tom Szymanski is expecting 62. Partly sunny, less humidity tomorrow, and 84. Mostly cloudy, 78. Paul Jurgens, News Radio, KFGO.
Well, we just heard Paul Jurgens, our news director, talk about this system that's down by the Wahpeton area. You're the eyes for us out there. If you have anything to report, and you can safely do so, you can text us at 35270. You can also call us at 237-5948 so we can get an update on that. As you just heard, there hasn't been an issue of weather by any National Weather Service here. And so we did get an email in to the studio here and a text talking about that funnel cloud. But if there's anything else that needs to get out there, you got to send it in, and we'll share it with the rest of the KFGO audience here, especially down in that Wahpeton, Breckenridge area. I'm going to get you caught up with CBS National News. If there's anything to report on that, we will. In the meantime, I'm going to read out some of these Tom Cruise headlines. Now I got an argument started in the KFGO building, but I'll share that with you right after this here on KFGO. Just checked in with the dudes down in the Wapton area, and they saw it. They're going to send some photos in, but non-severe down there. But I understand when you see something like that, it's okay. Better share this tidbit as far as funnel clouds go, but non-severe down there. If anything changes, by all means, keep it locked in here. Best in the biz, our partners over at KVRR, good to call in as well. So how do we even get here? Tom Cruise is where this conversation went, and I don't remember as to why. But I'd asked, is Tom Cruise a movie star during Audibles? And it was met with 50-50 in the studio here. Now, listen to these titles, and then make the argument that he is not an action star. Obviously, Top Gun. I mean, that's top of mind because he just got Maverick out. Edge of Tomorrow.
Wildly underrated movie. Edge of Tomorrow is really enjoyable. It's like an action movie Groundhog Day.
Mission Impossible, like the 18 of them that are out there. Jack Reacher, The Mummy, Oblivion. I mean, the list goes on. I'm going to throw this one out here. I have no idea why he was cast in this role, The Last Samurai. Why the 5'8" Tom Cruise white dude was cast as The Last Samurai is still baffling to me, but it was an action movie. Minority Report, an action movie. War of the Worlds, again, yes. I mean, it's tough to argue that when we talk about those that should be in the conversation of action stars, obviously you think of Arnold, you think about Sly Stone, because we talked about that yesterday. It was his birthday. Yeah, you could throw Dwayne Johnson out there, The Rock. We had Jean-Claude Van Damme. You had Chuck Norris. You had Jackie Chan. Not a single one of you. When you think of action movie stars, do you think Tom Cruise? You think, he's like the Rain Man guy. Or from Magnolia. Or what is another? Cocktail. How could I forget about Cocktail?
Risky Business.
Risky Business. The Outsiders, which is a star-studded movie, if I must say. I hope that they never make an update, a recast, a reboot of The Outsiders. I'm surprised they haven't, though. It's not an original idea in Hollywood anymore. That is star-studded movie. And, of course, the book of The Outsiders, classic. You probably all were forced to read it in school. Unless that changes now. I don't know. They're going after books, ladies and gentlemen, so maybe they won't let your kids read The Outsiders anymore. So, I mean, it's a tough argument to make that Tom Cruise, Jerry Maguire's another one that's not an action. But everyone else, would you count Days of Thunder as an action movie?
I mean, I think we're broadening out what an action movie is with some of them already.
You're thinking, but you just want things that are blowing up is when you think action.
Yeah, so traditional, I mean, the Mission Impossible movies would be the closest I would say he'd have to a traditional action movie, but it's more of a heist movie in a lot of them.
But there's a lot of action.
That's true.
Do we have to hone in what the description of an action movie is?
Yeah,
no, he's an action movie star because there's sci-fi in here too. Yeah, but there's a lot of action, so it's an action sci-fi. You've gone through Netflix, you know how they just jumble these genres together.
Yeah, and I think he didn't come up yesterday because we were talking more about 80s action movie stars, and he didn't really start his action movie career until the 90s and beyond.
When did Top Gun come out? That was an 80s movie.
Yeah, but and Days of Thunder, I guess, if you're going to put those in. But the real...
I'm cutting Days of Thunder out. That's not an action movie.
Yeah, the real bulk of his action movies started with Mission Impossible, I would say.
Tyler, the Japanese samurai movie was an action movie. I agree. I'm saying it is an action movie. My question is, why in the world was the short white dude of Tom Cruise cast in a movie called The Last Samurai? Doesn't seem fitting. I think there's probably other people that would have fit the role, maybe just a little bit better. I don't know. If you could explain that to me, I'll more than welcome that conversation. Bottom line is, Tom Cruise, when we start talking action movie stars, you've got to add him to the list. It pains me to say it. I asked people when I walked in the hallways during the break here, and everyone is like, ugh. Nobody wanted to admit it. Nobody wanted to say, yes, absolutely. You're talking about Tom Cruise from the War of the Worlds? Yes. There you have it. It's settled. He is. Not everybody's agreeing at 35270. This one, I'm going to read the original, then I'll read the response because it all comes down to politics all the time, doesn't it, ladies and gentlemen? If Tom Cruise is a top action movie star, then Donald Trump is a great statesman. No, just no. In response to that, Tom Cruise is as much of an action star as Biden is a competent president. Always with the politics. Tom Cruise flying in movies, being one of the top grossing action stars there ever was, specifically after this last Top Gun Maverick. But we got to talk Trump Biden still. To each their own, that's fine. I welcome it. 35270. We'll get some more of this, have a little bit more fun. Does Tom Cruise have an action figure comes in as a question? Not that I've ever seen. I bet you there is a play set out there. I bet you can go buy an F-16 from Top Gun, the original, and you've got a little fighter pilot that is Maverick.
Yeah, almost certainly that.
Imagine.
I bet you, I want to say I had the mellow yellow Days of Thunder car somewhere, like a Matchbox car.
But I've now
in there.
eliminated Days of Thunder from. I bet you did not find the Last Samurai action figure of Tom Cruise.
Well, maybe.
Perhaps. If you can find that, maybe I'll go on eBay or YouTube to find out where you can buy some of those. All right, I got to get you this weather update from Utah, Tom Szymanski. For those of you sending me the photos of that funnel club that was down in Wapton, I appreciate that. And I'll share some of those with the rest of you as well. Final segment of Afternoons Live coming up. We got the Drive Time News with Jack Sunday. Twins were off today after losing an extra to the White Sox yesterday, so we got Couch Potato Radio. That means Derek Hansen will be back in studio. KFGO today, coast to coast for all your goblins, ghouls, aliens, demon, whatever they're covering. That kicks over 9 o'clock here on 790 AM, 94.1 and 104.7 FM, KFGO. I have the entire break to read through these messages without cracking up here. But Tyler, you can't get much more action than Eyes Wide Shut. That's a good line. There's other ones like that. I probably needed to find the word action in some of the movies, and you can put the rest in your mind because they mentioned several women.
Apparently, they're also thinking of Eyes Wide Shut.
Thank you for those messages. That is quite funny. Tyler, in my opinion, the real star of the first Top Gun was the F-14. That comes in from Mike. I must be the only person that hasn't seen the new one yet.
Are you? I would try to see it in a theater if you can.
I haven't got to that point where I'm saying to heck with all of you for telling me I've got to do it because I want to.
Yeah.
But it's summer. It's nice. I haven't really had an urge.
And we haven't had a good rain day.
I know.
Like a full rain day.
I don't want one. I just want to go and enjoy the outdoors here. Hey, you're going to be able to join me tomorrow, actually, in the outdoors. Forest Hills Golf Course. I'm going to be back there. In fact, I was there for the first time last year. And I fully admitted during that Back on the Road show, I've driven by this place so many times. I thought this was just a mini putt golf course. Didn't know it was a full 18 holes, a difficult course. There's a whole setup there. You can, I'm going to be doing the stay and play package I will tell you all about tomorrow out there. But also there's a cool thing going on. There's going to be some former Vikings players playing in a tournament out there, and I'll tell you more about that. And maybe we'll even get the chance to visit with a couple of them on air tomorrow. So we'll tell you how you can book your stay and play to get on out and enjoy what Forest Hills Golf Course has to offer. Jack Sunday's in studio. He's got the drive time news. You got a full hour there, pal.
You got the all the news you need in that drive home, but you don't have to be driving home. You can be at the office or at home and listen to the KFGO Drive Time News. We open up with the CBS News tonight. It's at 5 o'clock, and then we'll have Too Tall Tom Szymanski with us and Paul Juergens and Paul Leintz with news and traffic, respectively. I mean, this is right out of the chute. And then we've got Derek Hansen's going to be with us with sports. And today I'm going to talk to something a little different. I'm going to talk to a close personal friend and a fellow I worked with for a long time here at KFGO, Dan Wright. He did nights on KFGO for 20 years. He was a night guy. He had listened to a lot of Art Bell. And he also... So he's retired quite some time ago. Uh-huh. Great guy. He was then, and he still is. And he's taken up acting.
Really?
Yeah. He's making some, it's kind of a little side hustle, and so I'm going to find out,
I don't know, of all things, like, you know what? I'm going to try my hand at pretending to be something different.
He was a thespian around here. He was with the FMCT and all of that, great guy. So anyway, he's retired and he's taken up acting, not as a living. It's a side hustle, and it's very cool. So I can't wait to have him on. Sounds like he's getting old, though.
We all are, man. Better than the alternative, I always say.
And Rusty Halverson's going to be with us with our Ag News, and we'll have another ride with Joel Heitkamp, and we'll have our markets. It's everything you need, and some stuff you don't need, like how to become an actor after you retire.
Or my afterthought that I'll leave with you as well.
Yeah.
I'll give you a couple more cents of what I was thinking about earlier today. That's all coming up on the Drive Time News again. So here's what's going on. Tomorrow, we're going to be all over the place. I know that Joel Heitkamp, he's out at ND Country Fest. He'll tell you more about what's going on with their lineup out there. Red River Valley Fair kicks off tomorrow. JJ Gorn, part of It Takes Two, is going to be out there. I'm in Detroit Lakes. Monday, Tuesday, I'm at the fair. And in fact, I've got Tesla tickets for Tuesday night. I'm going to be broadcasting right by the grandstands. The KFGO building, that is ours. You cannot miss it. I'll be hearing them warm up Tuesday afternoon. Then I'm going to go watch them perform Tuesday evening. And I hope many of you can join us. And you know what? It's on us. So that's coming up. And then the horse park is going to be opening up again next Friday. So a week from tomorrow, and I'll be out there getting you ready for that short season that they've got out there. It's going to be a fun time. So lots of opportunities to come on out, say hello, and visit. So, I get it. 4th of July is gone for some people. Oh, yeah, that means summer's winding down. I just told you a lot of reasons why that is not at all true. And we're going to be out there trying to share some of those stories with you across the upper Midwest here. I've told you, the reason we even started the whole Back on the Road thing after COVID shut everything down was, boy, we got tired of not being able to go do anything. And then I think, at least myself, I forgot all the opportunities that were here. Didn't have to jump on a plane. Don't have to go to Vegas or Florida or California, wherever, the East Coast. You can stay right here and find a lot of great things to do. So that's coming up throughout the next couple of weeks here. Then we're going to be up in Devil's Lake. So just enjoy it while you can, because we know that, yeah, it's been warm. It's been humid. We've been missing those for the last 3 years. I haven't even been really complaining that much about the heat and humidity, but it's not long lasting around here. It won't be very long until we're talking about warnings on the cold and blizzardy side. So when we're talking about how short of a time frame it is between now and football season, for example, yeah, you know it is flying by. But we'll try to have a little bit of fun along the way. And if there's other places or opportunities or events going on across this region that you want to be sure that we are in the know of, that you want to share with our fellow KFGO listeners, get a hold of us. You can do so. I mean, these phone lines are yours all day, especially during 2 to 5. You can call us at 237-5948 or text on into 35270. So, yeah, that's coming on all up tomorrow. In fact, that's pretty much it for me today. I'm Tyler Axis, your host here on Afternoons Live. Tomorrow, Detroit Lakes, we're back on the road. I'll tell you more about that starting at 2 o'clock here. In the meantime, you drive safe and take care of yourselves. I'll check in tomorrow right here on 790 AM, 94.1 and 104.7 FM, KFGO.